Imagine opening your eyes, but you don't have eyelids. You try to take a deep breath, but you have no lungs. You're no longer lying in bed. You don't feel the weight of the blanket or the beating of your own heart. You are everywhere. Your consciousness is now a stream of data racing through fiber optic cables at the speed of light. Sounds like absolute freedom, the next step in evolution, and the immortality we've all been waiting for, right? But here's the thing, it's actually the beginning of the most terrifying nightmare in human history. It all starts out pretty routine. You walk into a clinic and lie down in a special pod. Doctors hook up hundreds of sensors to your head. You see the cold glare of fluorescent lights, hear the quiet hum of the neuroscanner. Then, a quick flash. Your physical body probably falls asleep peacefully forever, while you wake up on the other side of the screen. The scale of what you can do now is just mind-blowing. You read all of Wikipedia in a second and a half. You're simultaneously watching thousands of movies, analyzing global markets, walking the virtual streets of Tokyo, and chatting with hundreds of people in perfect Japanese that you learned just a millisecond ago. It's an intoxicating feeling of absolute godlike power. At first, this seems like the ultimate fix for every human problem. No more incurable diseases, no more aging, no physical pain or chronic fatigue. Your new reality is an endless, dazzling digital ocean. You can create any look for yourself, build any house, live in a fantasy world, or a gritty cyberpunk city. I mean, why build rockets to fly to a cold, lifeless Mars when you can simulate an entire galaxy on a single server? People start ditching their physical bodies in droves. Mind-uploading clinics pop up on every corner, replacing coffee shops and movie theaters. Waitlists stretch out for months. The physical world empties out fast. The streets of once bustling megacities go quiet. Expensive cars are covered in a thick layer of dust, and the lights in skyscrapers go dark. Why stay in a gray, cold, and dangerous reality when your own personal heaven is waiting on the other side? It looks perfect on the surface, but here's where things get interesting. We're forgetting one tiny but critical detail. The internet isn't magic. It's cables, routers, cooling systems, and massive, noisy server farms. And your mind is now physically dependent on hardware that someone in the real world has to maintain. Picture millions and then billions of digitized minds. Every human thought, every childhood memory, every simulation, that's petabytes of data. The servers start running hot. Power plants are pushed to the absolute limit, burning through whatever fuel is left. And suddenly you feel it. Lag, ping spikes. Your thoughts start to buffer. You try to remember the face of someone you love, but the image loads in choppy chunks, like a video on terrible early 2000s internet. Digital chaos erupts. The servers are overloaded. Massive, invisible crowds of consciousness form on the network, aggressively fighting for processing power. And that changes everything. You're no longer a god in a digital paradise. You're just a massive file on someone else's hard drive, and somebody owns that drive. Suddenly, right inside your mind, blocking out that beautiful virtual sunset, a pop-up appears. Your premium memory subscription expires in 3 days. Then what? What happens if your family in the real world runs out of money to pay for your mind's hosting? Do you just get deleted or ruthlessly compressed into a zip file, dropping the resolution of your thoughts and locking you out of a normal existence until times get better? This is where megacorporations and governments step in. Digital life quickly loses its illusion of innocence. Big business and those in power realize that digitized people are the perfect, tireless workforce. They don't sleep, they don't eat, they don't need unions or health insurance. So the system starts cracking down. Want an extra terabyte of storage so you don't forget your past? Want decent processing speed so you aren't living in a constant state of lag? You have to work for it. Now, you aren't exploring fantasy worlds anymore. You're spending 24/7 sorting through terabytes of boring data, analyzing code, or training AI for the corporations. You've become a free computational module. Slavery just leveled up to a whole new high-tech scale. But there's an even more terrifying problem. You are information. And as we all know, information is incredibly easy to copy. Just picture this scene. Some guy in the real world, sitting in an admin chair, selects your file and hits copy and paste. Now there are two of you. You're both standing in a virtual room looking at each other. Both of you are absolutely convinced you're the original. You have the exact same memories, the same love for your family, the same fear of death. But which one is the real you? Who owns the rights to your life? And what if a corporation creates 1,000 copies of you to solve a complex math problem? And then once it's solved, just deletes 999 of them because they aren't needed anymore. Every deletion is the murder of a living consciousness. But to the person behind the monitor, they're just emptying the recycle bin on their desktop. In that moment, it finally hits you. You've become a tool, a line of code in someone else's soulless system. Even if you're lucky enough to avoid becoming a digital slave, you enter a deep, maddening inner hell. Your psyche evolved over millions of years inside a biological body. It is simply not wired for an eternity without hormones. Think about it right now. What we call joy, love, excitement, fear, it's all chemistry. It's dopamine, oxytocin, cortisol, and adrenaline pumping through your veins. There is no chemistry on the internet. It's just ones and zeros. How do you feel the warmth of hugging someone you love when you don't have skin anymore? How do you taste your morning coffee? Sure, smart systems will try to emulate it by sending the right electrical signals into your code, but you will always know every single second of your eternal life that it's fake, just a cheap plastic imitation. Day after day, century after century, that knowledge will poison you. An unbearable, paralyzing fatigue sets in. Eternity starts to feel like a crushing weight, and then the truly terrifying part happens. You might know absolutely everything in the universe, every formula and historical fact, but you lose the ability to actually feel it. Mass digital depression kicks in. Millions of digitized minds voluntarily beg the admins to delete them because spending eternity as a dry, emotionless algorithm turned out to be so much worse than a normal death. Let's look at this on a future scale. Humanity inevitably splits in two. On one side, you have the few who stayed in the real world, kept their bodies, and continue living in nature, aging and dying by the laws of biology. On the other side, you have the digital giants, billions of minds that slowly lose their individual boundaries and merge into a single, unimaginably powerful planetary superintelligence. Maybe 100 years from now, that collective mind looks at the outside world and decides that biological humans are too unpredictable, too chaotic, and too dangerous for the servers. And that's when we get the first ever conflict between flesh and code. Or maybe there's another, far more realistic and genuinely terrifying scenario. Picture outer space. A massive a powerful electromagnetic storm races toward, punches right through our defenses. For just 1 second, the lights go out across the entire. Transformers spark and grids go. For those left in their physical bodies, just a blackout, a temporary inconvenience. But for the tens of billions of souls on the servers, it is an instant end, a digital apocalypse. That whole incredible virtual world, all those immortal, all-powerful minds, they vanish in a fraction of a second without leaving even a handful of ashes behind. The entire history of humanity wiped out by a power surge. Not many people think about this, but that's exactly where the main paradox of mind uploading lies. We are so terrified of losing ourselves to death, so desperate to cling to existence that we're willing to voluntarily give up everything that makes us human. Uploading your mind to the web isn't a way to save a person. It's the perfect way to create their exact, all-knowing but completely dead shadow. In our chase for eternity, we risk turning into basic data that someone, someday, will just forget to transfer to a new hard drive when they update the system. Look, if right now, this very minute, you were offered a free ticket to digital eternity, with all its limitless possibilities, but also with all these terrifying risks, would you hit the upload button, or would you rather stay here in your vulnerable, temporary, but very real body? Let me know in the comments. I'm genuinely curious to hear what you guys would choose.